All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakwakadash. Double honors to the elders of Great Millstone, and peace and salutations to the brothers that are doing this work through sincerity. And we're going to jump right into the lesson. This is Proverbs 21, and we'll go to verse 16. It says, it's like verse 17. It says, he that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man, but he that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. So we're going to go ahead and get this in the alternate translation. Let's see what we got here. Proverbs 21. It says, he that loveth pleasure shall be a poor man. He that loveth wine and oil shall not be rich. So let's go ahead and do the comparison. It says, he who loves only selfish pleasure will become a poor man. He who loves and is devoted to wine and olive oil will not become rich. Let's find the GNT. Indulging in luxuries, wine, and rich food will never make you wealthy. Where's your note? It says, those who love pleasure become poor. Those who love wine and luxury will never be rich. So that's Jake's mentality. You know, he wants the here and the now. You know, Jake or 2/3 of our people, the so-called Black, Latino, Native American, they don't consider the future, and part of that is because what's instilled in them through years of traumatic, just being the traumatization of living here in America. Uh, 2/3 of our people are stuck on survival mode. You know, that's why so many of our people they suffer from illnesses and diseases. You know, quick deaths, premature deaths. You know, uh, unhealthy lifestyles, indulgence in sexual and other appetites, and they don't last too long, man. And that was set up by the so-called white man for the destruction of our people. And guess what? It works. It works. It works. So you got to understand that that's what it is. Let's get Proverbs 23 and 21. It says, verse 20, 23 and 20. It says, be not among winebibbers, among riotous, let's get that word, gluttonous eaters of flesh. That's pigging out, man. Indulging in these corrupt foods out here, these McDonald's and other things and what have you, fast foods, fried foods. All this stuff is designed to kill you, and it takes sometimes it takes brothers a long time to get out these mind frames of liking those things, man, indulging in those things. Those are not good things. You gotta have a balance in those, man. But the way that two of our people brought up, they were just brought up to just have that all the time, man. You go look at the shopping carts of these people out here, and it's just filled with nothing of nutritional value. And that's symbolic of the spirit as well. The spirit is nutritionally starved. Just like their body is nutritionally starved, their spirit is nutritionally starved. So you can compare all these things to a spirit, a healthy. They got a saying that says healthy mind, healthy body, healthy mind. Because of the clarity, there's a discipline that comes with doing all those things. Taking care of yourself, taking care of your mental well-being. All those comes they affect one another. So that's, having a clean environment in your household. These are things that Jake really didn't grow up with. Poverty, poverty. That's, you're conditioned to live in survival mode. You're conditioned to enjoy what you can while you can, because you don't know when you'll get it next. So that's the condition that Jake is in. It says, verse 21, for the drunkard and the glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. So we got to be careful of those things, man. Be careful of your spiritual wealth, your spiritual growth, your bodily wealth. Let's get a 2 Timothy's. This is just a real quick lesson through the Spirit. 2 Timothy 3 and 4, verse 2, and this goes into gluttony and indulgence of things. It's for men. 2 Timothy 3 and 2 is for men shall be lovers of their own selves. So you just thinking you're just there to fulfill the flesh. Covetous, money lovers, boasters, proud, blasphemers, obedient to parents, unthankful and holy. Yeah, and our true parents are that's our spiritual parents. The apostles and elders. Wisdom is also designed as a parent. You read the Proverbs. It speaks of wisdom as wisdom and knowledge stands a mother and a father. We can go ahead and get that. This is Proverbs 4 and 1. It says, hear ye children, the instruction of a father, and attend to no understanding. So, we have spiritual fathers in this truth that teach us understanding. For I give you good doctrine, forsake ye not my law. For I was my father's son, tender and beloved inside of my mother, taught me also and said unto me, let that heart retain my words and keep my commandments and live. Get wisdom, get understanding, forget it not, neither decline from the words of my mouth. So there's many scriptures that speak of temperance, self-control, uh, just having a right lifestyle, man. But we'll go back to scriptures. There's another scripture that speaks of knowledge and understanding as your parents. It says Proverbs 1 and 8. It says, my son, hear the instructions of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother, for they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. So you got to be circumspect of how you do things in this truth. What you feed yourself, what kind of lifestyle you live, what your surroundings are like, man. Quality of life, You gotta strive for a quality of life. Even though we're in hell, you should try to have a decent quality of life for yourself, man. Healthy. Eating foods that energize you. Now, for some brothers, it's easier said than done, but it's something that you got to put an earnest effort to, because the way that we grew up. When did we ever? When were we ever healthy? When were we ever in a optimal position to really take care of ourselves? We had to do with what we had. Sometimes that wasn't the best of things. Sometimes that wasn't the most nutritious of things. Sometimes there, it was things that should to pacify us, to take our minds off our misery. Coping mechanisms. Food can be a coping mechanism. Alcohol, tobacco, all that. Sex, they can be a coping mechanism. Those are things that make you feel good for the moment. You know, Jake seeks to party all the time. Jake always looking for a good time because that's the coping mechanism they use to forget about their troubles, to forget about their woes, their griefs. But all these things are sent to beguile us. Just as Eve was beguiled of the serpent in Genesis the 3rd chapter. You know, this devil has set up this whole system to beguile us. That's why he was called the most subtle of all the creatures. You know, he deceives the whole world in Revelations, the 12th chapter. You know, 2 Corinthians, go ahead and get that. 2 Corinthians said that he disguised himself as an angel of light. It says, and no marvel, for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. His propaganda, his lies, they're very appealing to Jake, you know, and he wholeheartedly takes heed of those things, and these are things that are brought on for our own self-destruction. You know, back in I think it was the 90s, you had BDP, Boogie Down Productions, KRS-One. You know, they brought out that song, Self-Destruction, You're Headed for Self-Destruction. You know, and that was back then. And guess what? Nothing changed. You know, Esau, the devil, has put more vices to corrupt your mind. You know, social media is a new coping mechanism now. Along with the alcohol, along with the drugs, along with the unhealthy foods, along with the sexual promiscuity. Social media is another coping mechanism. You got to recognize in these things and see what effect they take upon your life, man. You know, media, entertainment. You know, all these things are escape tools that Jake uses to forget about his miseries, to forget about that hard job that he has, forget about that low paycheck. You know, it's the whole bread and circus, man. The whole bread and circus thing. You know, they gave the poor bread and circus to take their mind off their miseries. You know, he is transformed to an angel of light. You know, and the men of the Lord, they're called to be on a higher echelon, a higher class of man. And when you come to this truth, you're called to be a higher class individual, a higher thinking. You know, the brother's always talking about the ruling mentality. Well, part of the first part of a ruling mentality is the ruling of yourself, the disciplining of yourself. You know, and that's something that you gotta recognize, man. The ruling of yourself, the you know, the scripture talk about he that ruleth his spirit is stronger than a one that takes cities. You know, you can find that. This is Proverbs 16 and 32. You know, you gotta learn to move wisely, man. And not only do you gotta learn to make wise decisions, you gotta learn to have wise reactions. You know, that's a big part of it too. Because there's some things that you can't control that happens to you, but you can use wisdom in your reaction to it. This is Proverbs 16:32. He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. He that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh city. So that's a glory to a man. That's a higher being right there. That's a higher mentality. Let's get Proverbs 25 and 28. This is Proverbs 25. Salak. This right here. And 28 says, he that has no rule over his spirit is like a city that is broken down without walls. Self-destruction. You see that? That's self-destruction right there, man. You know, I always like to bring up the point of don't self-sabotage yourself. Don't be your worst enemy. You know, be as one that's looking out after your own self. You know, have the spirit like you're looking after your own self. No one, because no one's gonna do it for you. Like if you saw yourself from an outside point of view, with all the problems that you have, all the shortcomings that you have, what would you do to help you to fix all those things? You know, There's you just can't be a man that says a lot of good things and don't take heed to your own advice. There's a lot of things that go along with this truth, man. It's not just calling the white man the devil and wearing fringes, and it's not all. It's more than that. It's a deeper level of understanding. There's a lot of people out there just in it for the show. These other camps, they just you got the ISPK with the sunglasses and the headgear and all that, man. It's just foolishness, man. The Lord didn't care about none of that. You got IOIC with all their uniformity and their military cadence calling, and the Lord ain't looking at all of that, man. That's all proud. That's all vanity. This is a higher calling, man. This is something that we all consider. I'm speaking to myself first and foremost. But with that being said, just another quick lesson. Most High good and hope is edifying. Was that I want to give all honor, glory, and praise to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Call halal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Brothers keep on pushing. Shalom.